we'll do the live thing first. Like, hey everybody, welcome back to the Bigmark podcast. It's me, your host, Bigmark. If it's your first time watching, welcome. If not, welcome back. Like I said, if you ever wanted to reach out to the podcast, hit us up on our DMs, hit us up on Instagram or X, wherever you want to talk to us. Let us know if you have an idea for a new episode, or if you wanted to let us know how you feel about an episode or an old one. And there's over 170 episodes to binge, so you can always go back and check out some of the old ones. Again, we're always covering ideas from sports to psychedelics. Like I said, we always do that. I mean, I said that in the description, I guess, but we always like to spread the word, spread the love, and that's what the Bigmark community is all about. So again, hit us up in the comments, share it with your friends. That's what we always want to grow the podcast and get everyone else on this level of, talking about stuff that you might not think, all kind of goes together, or you think one person would be involved. I always grew up in situations where, I felt like I was an imposter, in the sense where it's like, maybe I'm not supposed to be there. And, and I always kind of looked at that like, maybe it's not imposter. Maybe it's more like jack of all trades, in that sense where, I played sports in high school, so I was a jock, but then I played in the jazz band, which again isn't always something that happens. And I kind of learned, like, there's no reason to feel like you're pigeonholed in anything. And I feel like the reason why people end up getting in those situations where they do feel like they're typecast, pigeonholed, meant to be, or stuck in their rut, it's part of their own kind of mindset of being like, this is what I am, this is what I do. And I totally get that. But again, there's always opportunity to step out. And when you do step out into those new realms that you wouldn't think necessarily would ever cross, you can bring those skills, you can transfer those skills. Everything is, the human experience is the human experience. We all get to experience it in different ways. And, it's been that experience I tried to take more and more into my life. And it's always interesting, again, meeting new people and telling them that story and being like, yeah, I've had this like varying background. And people go, oh, I didn't realize, I only knew this one aspect of you, so I saw you as that, right? Like some people, especially in school when I was playing sports, like in university, people saw me as this football player. They go, oh, look, this is him. They know me if anyone's like, oh, Mark's on the football team, whatever. Or I'd introduce myself and we'd get to that and be like, yeah, I'm on the team, whatever. And then all of a sudden it'd also come up that I play guitar or do that. And people were like, no way, I thought you were just this one-dimensional character, right? So again, I think everyone can always have the chance to try to branch out and try new things that way. And I've been working on things a little bit more and trying to trying to talk. I've been going to a therapist, and I've mentioned my therapy journey before, and I kind of just started doing that recently. Have had kind of a bout of some health concerns, and just kind of all the different things. I mentioned my last podcast that I've been having this back pain and shoulder pain and stuff, and sinuses and all these things, right? Like, and other things that I kind of don't want to, I don't want to delve into right now, but I'm going to see people who are working on these things. And again, it's in the specialist's hands. And that's the thing. You have to go and you have to follow through with these things. You have to go see, even if it's urgent, even if it's not urgent, whatever it might be, there's stuff that I feel like we can leave on the back burner, and then all of a sudden it becomes it becomes an issue. And yeah, I just turned 33, but it's not like I'm an old man or anything, but I feel like this is, when things start to kind of turn a corner, and people my age already complaining about like back pain and things like that, and they didn't have like a major injury like I did. You want to hear more about that, check out my last podcast, but the last episode. But I injured my back, and now it's starting to kind of rear, and then I've injured my shoulder, and all the countless other injuries, ankles, fingers, wrists. Like, thankfully I never really did anything. I have acutely injured my knees, don't get me wrong, and I had an issue when I was a kid called Osgood Schlatter, where I kind of had like some minor knee issues where it was like, it was kind of just like I had to wear like a little brace, but basically my bones grew a little bit quick, a little bit too fast, and my muscles couldn't catch up and tendons couldn't catch up right away. So there was a lot of tension in a lot of my muscles. And honest to God, no one ever was like stretch it out as like a remedy at all. I mean, I think it could have caused more pain doing the stretching. Who knows? But I feel like that would have helped. But from what I remember, I had like some stretches, but it's amazing how much physiotherapy has advanced since then. Because I was a kid, so I just strapped a little brace on, and yeah, like I'm talking like grade 6, 7, 8. Like I was a kid, so thankfully haven't done too much to my knees. Hips feel okay, but who knows what goes on in there. Like I've said this before, I wish I could just go into one of those like full body scan things, like in X-Men, the first one where they put Wolverine in it and just fucking scanned his whole body, and you can just break everything down, check out the adamantium skeleton. I wish we could just do that, drop of a hat. I mean, like, I'm sure in certain parts of the world, like in the States, I'm sure there's clinics that you can go and get something done for a nominal fee, but that's, I think, harder to come by in Canada. Again, probably the same thing. You probably can find another place that would do something like that. But it's really interesting, kind of thinking about all this stuff. And it's just been like, I've just been like out of it, and just kind of like not really feeling like, I'm looking for a new apartment. I got, things are weird happening at work, all the health concerns, things like that, band, life. It's a lot, right? Like there's some amazing parts, don't get me wrong, some amazing parts. But yeah, it's one of those things where I'm trying my best to work through a lot of things, trying my best to kind of get back on top of things, but it just seems like there's always kind of like one kind of blow after the other. Something kind of just takes it down a notch, and it's difficult. And that's what, I mentioned before, I've stepped back and gone back and to see my therapist. I don't mean like, what am I trying to say? I don't mean like I stepped down, whatever. The way I'm saying step down, I feel isn't necessarily the way I feel. I'm stepping into this new journey. I feel like when I did have, and you can go check out the episode that I did when I did kind of start that therapy journey, I didn't really feel like I kind of could follow through, because I was limited in funds as far as like coverage for going to see a therapist, because it costs money. And at the time also, I felt like I needed to maybe do some more soul searching / again, I kind of felt like, all right, I'm gonna take the reins myself, so to speak. And it's interesting because, I was speaking with her the other day, and it's always difficult. It's always been difficult for me to really kind of open up to my friends. It's something that I've struggled with. It's to a lot of people, really. I haven't really had a chance to completely, be fully open and honest. And, there's always a concern that there's something, if I say it the wrong way, no one's going to really understand it, or I'm not going to be able to put it into words for me to truly, get my point across. And that's always been difficult. And I feel in some ways I haven't really let enough people in, and my friends especially are so important to me, let alone relationships and family things and things like that. Like, I think it extends completely to all that. And with all these things happening in life, all these, one thing after another, and okay, don't get me wrong, I'm alive and kicking, but just the relentlessness, so to speak, is difficult. And I've always kind of felt like, I wish I could just have a reprieve. But all these feelings, feeling overwhelmed, maybe it's a feeling of burnout. Again, we're being pushed a lot at work too, but I try not to let it get to me in that sense, but maybe it is. It's definitely getting to a lot of my team members, and all these things have kind of made me rethink a lot of these things and dwell a little bit more on that idea of, have I closed myself off so much to everyone that I know and everyone that I love? Is that going to limit me in the sense, can I build that connection that I really want? Because again, I have felt that my friends are so important to me, and I wanted to, I want them to be that family, but it's so important again for that two-way street to exist, right? And there's just those feelings again of potentially saying the wrong thing, acting like unconditional love in that sense is hard to attain, right? Like, obviously you can do bad things and you can upset people and you can say the wrong thing and make the wrong move, but I feel like my threshold for that is so low. Again, I'm just so worried. I wanted everything to be, to go well. Everyone wants everything to go well with your relationships and your friendships. But it's those hard conversations and those real conversations that truly, allow you to kind of like go to the next level, or at least kind of get to the root of the real cause. Again, it's super interesting. I mentioned even in my last podcast, about, kind of psychosomatic pain, right? And who knows how a lot of these feelings are reflecting, right, on my inner physiology, right? And how much inner physiology is reflecting on my thoughts, right? And thoughts and feelings, right? Like this, the body is so important. I kind of got, I kicked off this little health scare kind of thing, and couldn't go to the gym, all these aches and pains starting, like, it's just like that relationship I mentioned again in my last podcast, like I said, about psychosomatic pain, kind of with the back, feeling that load, feeling the overwhelming weight. And that's it, kind of embodying itself. It's manifesting itself as that pain. And other, is that related to other things too, right? Like, it's super interesting. It's super interesting. So we'll see how some of these more investigative things, I'm going to see more specialists and doctors about everything that's going on, and going to follow that up and hopefully get a little bit more investigation. Like, again, I said, it's tough to kind of get some of those full body scans in Canada, but sometimes you need kind of a good reason to to go get it. I love doing these episodes where I just kind of get to rant to you guys. I know there's only a few of you out there that probably actually care, but thank you all for listening to me here, just kind of thinking out loud. And I hope that there's, some semblance of sense to kind of what I'm saying here, but if not, I'm sorry. But that's the Bigmark podcast, baby. That's Bigmark Speaks. That's how she goes. That's how it goes sometimes when I get to go on the microphone, talk to y'all. I mean, I love it. I love y'all. This is something I never want to do. I mean, I've kept doing this podcast through moves, breakups, world pandemics, life, just love in general. I want to continue this. This is something that I've committed to. I love each and every one of you. I thank each and every one of you for giving me your time, for even just spending these few minutes, whether you're driving in your car, whether you sit down and watch this. Hello. I love you. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. But no buts. There's no buts there. Again, I thank you all. This means the world to me. I love doing this. Is something I started doing and never really knew when and if it would end, and it's never going to end because it's the Bigmark podcast. And this is Bigmark Speaks. Thank y'all for listening. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.